All right, guys. It's another living room chats with Ryan, Zill, and Nerdfather CJ.
Is my name actually Ryan now?
I don't know. It could be Ryan. Do you want it to be Scrumpalumplus or something?
Today, I'm Jimmy Dean.
Meat snack.
Wait, is that going to get demonetized? I'm Philip Charleston.
Philip Charleston.
Okay. Jimmy Philip Charleston Dean.
All right. Well, that's who we are anyway. So, what are you? What's your favorite RPG?
Wow, we are cutting right to the chase.
The Chase.
No, that's
I'll
my
threaten
nephew.
you. I'll threaten you with the cat deterrent.
Old school RuneScape.
Why?
Do you hate yourself? Are you okay?
No. Wait. No. Yes. I don't know. I always think of it as like my first real big RPG that I played. I remember devoting countless hours in pillow forts while trying to play it on a laptop.
Okay.
And grinding all kinds of miscellaneous things because that was like 90% of that game. But like that's one of the games that got me into the online gaming thing. So it'll always have a special place.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So
Okay. That makes sense. How about you?
Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Pathfinder or Final Fantasy 14.
Well, you have one tabletop, one electronic one, so I mean that
Uh-huh.
seems like you're doing all right to me. Any particular reason on either one of those?
Pathfinder, because you get to customize your character a lot, and I feel that players have a lot of agency over the story, which it is a cooperative storytelling game. So everybody should have some amount of control over the story. And Final Fantasy 14, because I can be a cat that casts spells with books, and that's pretty much everything I've ever wanted to do with my life.
All right, fair enough.
goals.
Goals. She's made it, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, let's be real. Elon's going to be a couple years away from genetically engineered cat ladies, so it's about the closest you're going to get.
Well, for myself, I would say that my favorite RPGs would definitely be like the classic Final Fantasies. Like, I think the first one that I was a huge fanboy over was Final Fantasy IX. Also, definitely enjoyed the Mass Effect and the Dragon Age trilogies and games. But as great as they were, I don't know, Final Fantasy IX special in my heart. And then for tabletops, it would probably be Pathfinder. Although, I am working on my own, so theoretically that should be it. But it's not done, so,
Well, why the hell not?
It's because you haven't worked on it enough.
You right.
Yeah.
CJ, it's yours.
Right. How about you, Ryan? What kind of tabletop RPG?
I mean, I've only played a little bit of Pathfinder, but I liked that much more than 5th edition for sure.
Yeah.
5th edition was fun, but it seemed like you were pigeonholed into certain things, and it's nice to have the options to take your character in a bunch of different directions in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little more complicated at the start to learn, I feel like it's more fun in the end, so totally worth it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about Pathfinder. It definitely gives you a lot of, like Zil said, a lot of agency over, where you're taking your character and what you do, and you can definitely build, the optimized build, and there's only, a small handful of ways to do that, but you can still have a very viable character and get a lot of great story content and flavor into it, in my experience, which is always a lot of fun. Yeah, so what, why are we doing this, guys? Why are you doing this? Philip Ryan Jr. the 9th or whatever it is today.
I don't remember. Philip the Jimmy Dean something. I don't know. I feel like it's fun to, sit down and chat and talk about things, and you might as well turn camera on if we're doing these conversations anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way other people can join us in the comments below.
Facts.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah. Unless
you're required to answer every question now, or you fail the class.
You failed the class. Big fat F's. Grades next Thursday. How about you?
Cause fun.
Because fun.
Yeah.
That's
Facts.
That's a good reason, and I feel like that's all you really need. I mean, I'm kind of with Ryan and Zill both. Like, I think it's fun to share our conversations with people. I feel like we each, in our own way, have had a lot of fun and interesting thoughts and insights into various games, both video and board game. So we got to talking, and so here we are, trying to make a YouTube video a thing. Yeah. So, does anybody else have any questions that they would like to throw out there for the audience to
I'd
get to know
love
us?
to revisit favorite villains and heroes.
Favorite villains and heroes.
For reading or video games or any of those kinds of genres.
So just favorite villain or hero and where they're from, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. That's always... I mean, the Warrior Light in Final Fantasy, he's in every single Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but that's you.
I'm not biased at all.
I'm not biased at all. I'm just a big fan of me.
It's a good choice, though. It's very classic hero's journey for most of them, I think. Kind of depends. Like, definitely the earlier games. I've mostly played the earlier games at this point. And those are definitely your classic, like... You guys are the heroes now. Go learn how to be heroes.
Yeah, it's true. I can't remember the name of the quote unquote like bad guys in like Mass Effect 1 and 2, like robot race.
I can't remember it either.
But I've always enjoyed that concept, like the AI/robotic uprising. I always think that's really cool. I mean, invariably there's always like the one mastermind behind it. But that's not necessarily my favorite part of that like villain arc. It's the concept of the like machines rising up and like dealing with that and them dealing with like how you adapt to them, and I don't know. So I've always found that play by play kind of fun and interesting.
Good choice.
Yeah. How about you for villains / bad guys?
For villains / bad guys, okay. I'm gonna give you the same answer I give you every single time you ask this question.
Okay.
Which is Emmett Silk is terrible, and I hate him, and I love it.
Okay.
From Final Fantasy XIV.
How about you, Senor?
Greatest villain is Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord.
That is one of my favorite fan theories, I have to say.
Because he's so incompetent that it can't be real, but yet he convinces the whole Senate to give Palpatine power. So clearly he's using Jedi mind tricks on an entire, like, giant open Senate floor, whatever you want to call it, little floating pad things.
I mean...
And Palpatine doesn't recruit an apprentice until after all of that stuff goes down. So, like... everything fits.
And his crazy jumping, flip-flopping thing, and the robots don't hit him. It's like they're robots programmed to shoot and hit things, and he happens to dodge all of these AI robot things. He's a Sith Lord. Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun theory, although, I mean, just to poke one small hole in the Palpatine one, like, he was doing a pretty good job at being the head of the Senate, or whatever his position was.
True.
So, how about heroes?
I'm gonna have to go with
Tallest gnome I know.
a gnome. I'm a gnome.
Which gnome?
Gnome.
Gnome.
I actually really like I'm gonna have to go with Quoth from Name of the Wind. I know I get mad at that book series every single time because it's not finished. I see it and it makes me irrationally angry. It's on the wall over there. But God, he's such a good, well-built character, and I know he comes off as kind of he sulks a lot, and it's like everything's always bad to me. But you also have to take into account how young that character is, and it's like it's the same thing with why I get mad at in the Wheel of Time series, where it's like all these kids are like acting all I have no idea how to deal with women. I'm like, yeah, but all the kids in those books are like they start out like
between 14 and
or
16.
something. Yeah, so they're all. I'm like, for that age, I'm like, yeah, it's annoying, but like that's how they would act at that age. Like it's weird to think that you wouldn't think that. Just because they're in like a medieval setting, that they would be any less insecure than in any other kind of universe. But like his character is like really well built, and obviously being the main character, he picks up everything really quick.
And then in Quoth's defense, like you're also reading it from his perspective, so you're also getting a lot of like internal dialogue. So all those thoughts that you don't necessarily share out loud with your friends and stuff, you are getting because you're inside his head. So
so I really like that, and I just like those book series in general just because of how well it balances the magic that can do whatever it feels like with the sciencey aspect of the magic, which puts limitations on things. So
I definitely like the magic system that Pat has come up with in that series. I think it's a lot of fun, particularly the more scientifically based one. I also super dig just like he's an amazing wordsmith. As much as I can't wait for the next book to come out, I also take your time, Pat, because like
I'd rather not ruin the third book. But I'm also
this has been the longest period between books, though. I think I don't know what the time between the first two was because I didn't pick it up until the second book was out. But
well, I just want to get through it because I have a theory that, and he might not because clearly it seems like he's kind of done with the series and doesn't really want to finish it even. But it's like if he finishes with Doors of Stone and that brings you up to the current day and catches him up to where he actually made it to the end, then you have an entire another series going off of now that he's told his story, where are we going from here?
Where are we going from here?
So
or would that just close it out? Like, would that be...
Yeah, we're just going to be like,
there are definitely things going on.
Yeah.
So I don't think the
Bast
intention...
is trying to get him to be Quoth again instead of Koth or Kote or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's an interesting character indeed.
Yeah. No, Pat's really done a great job of writing. Pretty much all the characters in that series, like even the ones you only run into like momentarily, have like he really manages to bring them to life a lot better than most authors that I've encountered.
Especially considering those books aren't terribly long.
Yeah, I mean, considering for how much happens in them, I would say that they're rather short.
Yeah.
You could do the Wheel of Time. You could go 14 books deep, and now you get to the end, and you're like, where the hell did I even start?
Yeah. Wheel of Time, I feel like, almost had too much going on with the same characters. Like, I almost would have liked to have seen the events unfold from a different perspective, from like a different, hero person. Mm-hmm. And occasionally he does write about like Robert Jordan does write from a different perspective than you're expecting.
Well, he does the villain's point of view every now and then.
Yeah, he does the villain's point of view every now and again. And every once in a while he'll pick up like the point of view of like the general of the guard or something. But like not often does he like stray out of like his little circle of like people that he likes.
Oh yeah, he always comes back to the core.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, they are the weave, the center of the weave or whatever. But
wow, that got off on a tangent really quick.
That's totally fine. It's totally super duper fine. I mean, at least we like books. I don't know about.
I do like books. I just don't ever remember to actually read them.
She only likes physics books.
That's not true. I have read 2 of the Drizzle books. And
wait, the books or the Bibles?
Like that.
I read 2 of books inside of one of those books.
Okay.
I have not finished.
The Bibles are like this big,
and they're like 3 books each. Or 4 books each, something like that.
At least
I've
3 or
read
4.
all of the Warriors Cats books.
There's a
over
bookshelf over there.
there. And
You guys
yeah.
can't see. It exists.
It's
Sorry,
true, it's not entirely
I'm just
fair.
pointing at, like, I don't have that many of them, actually. I have, like, 1 through 5 and Firestar's Quest.
What is that even? What is that book series about, though?
It's about cats.
Okay.
They
Seeing
live out in the
a pattern
wild. Like cats, okay. So they're cats that live out in the wild. The main character is... Well, it's an old book, but I've just spoiled it. Because your main character's named Rusty.
Spoiler
and
alert.
he's Firepaw because he's in training. And so their names are always compound words. And then, I don't remember what his third name is. Because Rusty is a house cat, and then he goes and joins ThunderClan, which is Gryffindor. That's really what it is. Like... What is it? Shadow Clan? The swamp dwelling cats are just evil even though they're not supposed to be. But he, like, you know, joins this clan and becomes a warrior and goes out hunting for them and stuff. And then the current leader is overthrown and there's lots of cat politics, and then he comes out on top and he becomes Firestar because that means he's the leader of the clan. And that's like the 6th book or something. I don't remember where
Okay.
that one lands.
It's Guardians of Ga'Hoole for cats.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I've never read it, so like that was the most I've ever knew about it. So
Noon.
yeah, words are hard. Okay.
It's past noon.
So actually, that brings me to a really fun question that I like to ask people all the time, which is like, what type of universe do you enjoy as far as like flavor and like technology level? And like whether it's high fantasy or low fantasy, steampunk technology or sci-fi technology, does the magic get along with technology or does it not get along with technology? What kind of universe is kind of your favorite idealistic fantasy / sci-fi / world to think about?
I really like the old school fantasy where there is usually some kind of system of magic, but preferably one that puts limits on how much. It's not just like, oh, I can do whatever I feel like.
Yeah.
I also really like fantasies where they tease at it being kind of a before, like it actually happens within our timeline. So like in the Wheel of Time, when spoiler alerts, when Rand sets up his little school thing, and he's like, "What's that guy doing?" He's like, "Oh, he's building this machine thing with wheels that explosions pushes pistons." It's basically like it teases at it being like a steam engine in the universe, and you're like, oh, this is like almost a prereq to them building like cars within this universe. And so it's like it hints at like modern technology even in like a fantasy setting. So usually like the swords, shields, that kind of stuff with like a sprinkling of magic where not everyone has access to it.
Yeah.
But enough.
But it's prevalent enough that people know about it and it's around.
Yeah. Like in the darker... I don't know the series for the Darker Shade of Magic series.
Darker Shade of Magic. Sounds really
It's
familiar. But
V.E. Schwab.
Okay.
But like most of the people within one section of that universe have access to magic, and so it's like, yes, it's magic, but because everyone has access to it, it's kind of brought it down to an extent.
Okay.
So
How about you?
I really like the mythic fantasies where it takes high fantasy and then it also throws in like active deity or quasi-deity beings interacting. So like Discworld, Dragonlance, my campaign setting.
Called Florentia, which we'll talk about maybe in another video or maybe later on. Who knows? We'll see where this takes us.
I also like, I wouldn't say I'm super into Greek mythology, but I like the story, some of the stories from Greek mythology for that reason.
Okay.
I liked Percy Jackson, which is also on the bookshelf that's out of you.
Yeah, Percy Jackson's a fun read. I wouldn't necessarily say it's extremely creative, but it's fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I think that like my ideal fantasy or world that I like to try to portray when I'm DMing as an example would be like a high fantasy semi-epic world where there are definitely gods or godlike beings, and sometimes you can interact with them, sometimes you can't. I'm a huge fan of like steampunk technology, which technology that relies almost entirely on almost a magic because it shouldn't necessarily work. I also enjoy the high sci-fi stuff and like Star Trek and Star Wars. It's definitely hard to have that all under one roof. So usually I just go with like a steampunk type setting because it's kind of the nice hybrid of all of those.
You gotta smush them all together.
Yeah. So to smush them all together, you really just end up with like a steampunk world. So I like the idea that magic gets along with technology, although the idea that magic does not get along with technology, I've run across in a few books, which has always been really kind of an interesting fun take on that. The Dresden series does that, where magic doesn't get along with technology. So the main character always drives around like the oldest car he can get a hold of with the fewest electronics, so it doesn't screw up. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think that it's definitely a lot of quirks and turns, and one of the biggest reasons I do like to read and watch these fantasy movies and sci-fi movies and stuff and books is to not necessarily for the story, because I've read some pretty terrible books like the Twilight series.
I didn't realize you actually read
Yeah, I've actually read it. I was living in the woods for 8 years. I don't know what you want.
So you used it as the outhouse.
Yeah. But as bad as that story was, and there's lots of things to really, really, really hate about it, in my opinion, I enjoyed the different take on vampires. I thought that was really interesting and fun, and the different take on werewolves.
Is fun.
Yeah. But the actual execution of like the plots and stories of the characters, like I could have done without that. Like honestly, I wish they would have just released an encyclopedia of the world and called it a day.
Yeah, but it's probably good for you to know what you like. Yeah, it sucks, but now you know what not to do when building your world.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so do you guys have any other questions that you'd like to ask?
So we did hero and villains. So who's your favorite anti-hero?
Oh.
Also, I'm just gonna throw out my favorite hero is young Khadgar in the book where he goes to Medivh's tower that I can't remember the name of right now.
Okay, I know what you're talking about though. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the tower either. Also, nobody can cop out and say Deadpool.
I can't really think of an anti-hero right now.
I mean, depending on which story arc you're in, Wolverine's an anti-hero. There's several of the X-Men that are like that, where depending on which universe, which story you're following, they're an anti-hero. I think Wolverine definitely has the largest variety. But I could be wrong about that. I'm not super informed about the X-Men. I've always liked Wolverine. Always been a huge fan ever since I was this tall. It's the healing factor in the claws. It's just cool.
I think I'd probably go with Raceland from Dragonlance.
Okay, yeah.
I really can't think of one.
Not even in like any of the books you've read recently?
I've read too many of those. There's stuff.
Don't you like Warcraft? Like, anyone who remotely resembles a hero is probably an anti-hero or a fallen hero.
You're right. Let's just go with Sylvanas, especially.
Sylvanas is not an anti-hero.
No, because she's
pretty sure she's been a villain from the get-go. I'm just putting it
out. Well, see, it's fine because if you roll an undead, then technically she is a hero.
No, she's the mind-controlling government, like surveillance-based government. Like that's
the big
what
brother
she
of
represents.
the
And then Big Brother gets the job done.
All right. Well, I know who we won't be inviting back again.
Right. Warcraft. Who else in Warcraft would you consider an anti-hero?
I mean, the real problem is finding someone who can be classified as a hero at all.
Yeah, no, like,
But-
even the Green Jesus Thrall, like, they put him through some interesting story
I think you could
quirks.
call him an anti-hero at certain points in
Yeah,
the story.
no,
in early Cataclysm, I would call him an anti-hero because he's a hero who is bad at being one.
Yeah.
And then in late Cataclysm, he's Green Jesus again. But
Well, he also just, like, makes some really questionable decisions in his story
Well,
arc.
yeah,
I
but that's
mean,
why I
he's
would
better
say-
than Garrosh.
he's trying.
Yeah, but you could
and
wake up-
He's very bad at it, and that's like your traditional definition of an anti-hero. Like the guy in the Headless Horseman story is one of the oldest anti-heroes, and you wouldn't think of him as one because it's not about his morality, it's the fact that he wants to go out there and call himself a hero and he doesn't have the courage to do it.
Okay. I just know that I don't think there's a single hero in the entire Warcraft universe that Blizzard hasn't somehow fucked over. Pardon my language. We'll have to bleep that out.
They're very good at messing up characters. And the whole, basically, of Azeroth as well.
Yeah.
They just sometimes are like, we're just gonna destroy it. Cataclysm, okay, that's fine, whatever.
I mean, I don't even mind it. I don't even mind it.
Anduin could be an anti-hero at certain points.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. I don't even mind.
I guess,
like,
kind of.
By that same, like, really old definition.
Yeah. I don't even mind the resets of the world and stuff. Like, that doesn't bother me. Just find a better way to do it. It's called World of Warcraft, and they're running around making people who have decided they want to try to keep the peace suddenly turn around and become genocidal maniacs.
Right.
So, like,
Name one.
Jaina. Or
Nah, it's chill.
pretty much everybody. But I don't know. It's just they could always introduce an external force. I mean, they've already established that it's a
It's
huge
just that
universe
you didn't
with
actually
lots of
kill
aliens.
the Shaw of Anger.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
He's still just scuttling around places.
Yeah.
That expansion was so fun because that was just Blizzard's call-out post for their entire fan base. Shaw of Pride, the entire thing is just like, here are the things you guys say to each other when you're in raids. Yes, we read your chat logs.
But I can't see the GMs, so how do you know they're there? GMs. Well, that's not the word for them.
Game Master?
Yeah, it is.
GM. Wow. Oh. What was I thinking?
I
I
don't know.
don't know.
Are you thinking DM? Like for
Hi,
Dungeons and
I'm
Dragons?
Jimmy Dean John
The third?
Charles. It's too early for this.
Just default to introducing yourself every single time you stumble.
Okay.
In this episode, Jimmy Dean John Edward the 19th introduces himself 154
That
times.
guy's canceled. Hello, I'm Greg Simon. The other guy had to leave. He was bad.
He was bad. Well, does anybody else have any questions you'd like to put out there?
Well, I just got here, but I think I'm okay.
Yeah? Alright.
Okay.
Alright, well, that's all we have for you today in Living Room Chats, guys. If you liked the conversation, hit like, share, all that fun stuff. Farewell.
Obligatory YouTube outro.
Yeah, exactly.
These things.